Jimin hands over an old ring in the middle of training. Not a proposal, but a promise that makes Jungkook tremble. "Don't die before you wear this," Jimin growled, blood streaking his jaw as he shoved the ring into Jungkook's trembling hand. The storm above screamed like a wounded animal, sirens blaring through the fractured training dome as fire crackled in the distance. The sound of collapsing steel and burning ozone surrounded them, chaos choreographed to a rhythm only soldiers knew. Jungkook didn't blink. Couldn't. The old ring in his palm felt heavier than the gun strapped to his back. His mind, honed by combat drills and sleepless nights, faltered only now. Not because of the flames. Not because of the screaming. But because of Jimin's voice, the way it frayed on the edges, like he'd been carrying this moment for years. It wasn't a proposal. God, no, it was something else. Jungkook gritted his teeth. "You really picked now." Jimin's laughter was strained, half cough, half grunt. "You needed something real, something to come back to." That was their first lesson as Black Unit trainees. Hope is more dangerous than fear. It made you hesitate, made you human, made you weak. Jimin, of all people, never forgot that. And yet, he pressed that ring into Jungkook's hand like it was a bulletproof vow. In the moments that followed, time collapsed into heat, noise, and motion. The enemy drones breached the last firewall, and everything descended into chaos again. But Jungkook couldn't shake the weight of that ring or the look in Jimin's eyes, something between defiance and desperation. His orders were clear: extract, detonate, eliminate, no deviations. But this wasn't part of the simulation. Jimin wasn't supposed to bleed like that. Wasn't supposed to press an heirloom into his partner's palm with hands that trembled. Wasn't supposed to say something so final. The ring wasn't new. It was scratched, dulled with time, engraved with a sigil Jungkook didn't recognize. He didn't need to. The metal burned with memory. It carried stories of people who didn't survive their promises. They made it out barely, crawling through smoke and solder, leaving behind corpses and questions. Later, much later, when the wounds had closed and the training facility was rebuilt in steel and silence, Jungkook sat alone under the fluorescent hum of the debriefing hall. The ring still clung to his chest on a makeshift chain. It never left him. He didn't ask Jimin what it meant, not directly. But in the stolen glances across training mats, in the wordless nods during missions, in the quiet aftermaths of too close calls, he understood. This wasn't about love, not in the way people wrote poems or sang about it. This was about something uglier, stronger. Loyalty forged in blood. Survival promised in silence. That night, Jimin entered the training room again, barefoot, bruised, shadowed under the eyes. "Why'd you tremble?" he asked, voice casual like a knife slipped between ribs. Jungkook didn't look up. "Because I knew you meant it." Jimin said nothing for a long time. Then he sat across from him, pulled the chain into his hand, studied the ring with something that wasn't quite regret. "I lost everyone who ever wore that," he murmured. "I gave it to you hoping it would break the curse." Jungkook met his gaze for the first time. "Or finish it." Jimin's smile didn't reach his eyes. "We'll see." The war wasn't over. The simulations grew crueler, more real. Rumors of betrayal slithered through the ranks. Commanders vanished. Missions became traps. And in the center of it all, Jungkook wore the ring. He never took it off. And he never forgot how his hands had trembled the day Jimin gave it to him. Not from fear, but from the unbearable weight of surviving for someone else's promise. "You lied to me." Jungkook's voice cracked through the silence like a whip. The kind of silence that only came after an ambush. The kind that hung over bodies still warm with life moments ago. The kind that made even machines hesitate. Jimin turned slowly, the emergency red light painting his face in strokes of shadow and fire. "Be specific," he said, calm, too calm. Jungkook took a step closer, his boots sloshing through blood that hadn't been his a minute ago. He clenched his fists, ring digging into his palm like a blade. "The mission wasn't just reconnaissance, was it?" Jimin didn't answer. The hallway smelled of scorched wires and melted flesh. Alarms blared somewhere distant, but inside this broken corridor, time stilled. Jungkook's voice rose, fractured. You knew they'd be here. You knew it was a setup. You brought me in anyway. Jimin's lip curled, part pity, part defiance. If I told you, would you have followed me? Silence. Jungkook's jaw tensed. The pain wasn't from his wounds anymore, it was deeper. Betrayal had a taste, metallic and sharp, and it filled his throat now. I trusted you. Jimin stepped closer, close enough that their breath mingled. Jungkook's ragged and furious, Jimin's steady like he'd rehearsed this moment 1,000 times. I didn't lie, Jimin said softly. I omitted, because trust gets you killed out here. You want the truth, fine. He yanked down the collar of his tactical suit, revealing a black-inked mark burned into his skin just above his heart. A symbol Jungkook had only seen on enemy soldiers. On corpses. What the hell is that? I've been working both sides. Jungkook blinked, once, twice. His mind didn't wrap around the words. It smashed into them, again and again, trying to reshape them into something else. Something that made sense. You're a double agent. No, Jimin replied, eyes dark. I'm something worse. I'm the insurance. The one both sides want alive until the very last page. Jungkook stumbled back. Why would you tell me this now? Because, Jimin said, pulling something from his belt, a small, cracked drive pulsing faintly blue. The truth, going to get us both killed. And you need to choose whether you're dying with me or without me. Explosions rocked the far end of the corridor. The ship was failing, systems collapsing, but nothing was louder than the silence that followed Jimin's confession. Jungkook stared at the drive. What's on it? Jimin handed it over without hesitation. Everything, the origin of the ring, the reason you were recruited, why they made you kill your brother. The last sentence struck like lightning. Jungkook's hand trembled again, just like the first time Jimin gave him that ring. That cursed, heavy ring. You don't get to say that, he growled. You don't know what happened. I do, Jimin whispered, because I was there when they ordered it. Jungkook lunged. He tackled Jimin into the wall, fists flying, blood erupting from split lips and reopened wounds. Jimin didn't fight back, not at first. He let Jungkook rage, let him bleed out the pain in punches and broken words. But when the blade came out, when Jungkook raised it with every intention of ending the man before him, Jimin moved. He disarmed him in a blink, flipped him hard to the ground, pressing the blade to Jungkook's throat. His hands shook now. His face wasn't calm anymore. It was wrecked. I let you live because I believed in you, Jimin snapped. Don't make me regret that. Jungkook's chest heaved. The fury drained just enough for the grief to leak through. You watched them kill him, he whispered, and you let me think it was my fault. I had orders. I had a brother. They stared at each other, panting, bleeding, raw. The drive on the floor between them pulsed like a dying heart. Jimin slowly lowered the blade. This war isn't about sides, Jungkook. It's about what you're willing to sacrifice when the truth burns everything down. Then why give me the ring? Jungkook spat. Why start this thing between us, if you were just going to betray me? Because I hoped you'd be different, Jimin said, voice breaking for the first time. Because when I looked at you, I saw the only person who might survive what's coming without becoming like them. Jungkook didn't move, couldn't. Somewhere down the corridor, gunfire erupted again, closer now. The enemy had breached the hull. Jimin offered a hand, not as a soldier, not as a spy, but as the man Jungkook once trusted in the dark. Come with me, or leave me here, your call. Jungkook's eyes dropped to the drive, the ring on his finger, the blood on the floor. He reached up and took Jimin's hand. Outside, the station crumbled. Inside, something else was being built. Fragile, unforgivable, real. You really think I won't kill you? Jungkook's voice was low, husky with exhaustion and fury, the kind that came from too many truths dropped like bombs in too little time. Jimin didn't answer right away. He didn't flinch, didn't blink. He simply walked ahead into the underdeck. What was left of it? where broken piping steamed and sparks spat from ceiling veins. The flicker of dying electricity cast his silhouette in flashes, like a ghost that hadn't decided which world it belonged to. "I think," he said eventually, without looking back, "that if you were going to kill me, you would have done it when I put the ring in your hand." "That was before I knew who you are," Jungkook snapped, his boots crashing after him down the narrow corridor. "Before you confessed to helping asterisk them, you let me become one of their dogs, you let me kill for them." "And you were good at it," Jimin said flatly, "almost too good." That made Jungkook stop. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Jimin turned now. His eyes were darker than shadow, burned out with secrets too heavy for language. "You think they picked you because you were brave, noble? You think they found you because of your trauma, your anger? No, they built you. They designed asterisk you, down to your impulses. You didn't get here by accident. You're not a soldier, Jungkook, you're a project." Silence swallowed everything. Jungkook's breathing turned shallow. His fingers twitched at his side, not for his gun, not for his blade, but just for something to hold on to. Something real. "Say it again," he said, voice a thread. Jimin stepped closer. "You were manufactured grief. You were always going to pull the trigger. They just gave you the right target." Jungkook's laugh cracked the air like glass. "You're insane. You think I'm some kind of lab rat." "I asterisk no asterisk you are," Jimin said, pulling a battered datasheet from his vest and tossing it across the corridor. It landed at Jungkook's feet, flickering with distorted holograms. Jungkook crouched, activated the feed. There he was at age 6, not crying, not smiling, just staring blank into a lens as voices outside the frame spoke clinical phrases. "Subject 97B exhibits increased aggression under mirror neural simulation." He backed away from the footage like it had claws. "No," Jungkook muttered. "No, my mother died in the fire, my father." "They weren't your parents," Jimin said, softer now. "They were handlers." Jungkook looked up, eyes wild, cornered. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because you're about to meet the people who made you, and they think they still own you." Suddenly, the walls groaned. From behind them, the ship's emergency AI spoke in its dry, soulless tone. "Containment breach in lab sector, see all personnel. Evacuate immediately." Jungkook didn't move. "I trusted my instincts," he whispered, almost to himself. "Every time I killed, every time I ran into fire, I thought I was choosing. But you're telling me it was all pre-coded." Jimin leaned in close, a breath away. "Not all. You hesitated with me." "You think that redeems you?" "No," Jimin said, eyes flaring with something Jungkook couldn't name. "But it means you're more than what they made. It means we both are." A hiss cut the moment short. The ceiling above them peeled open, mechanical limbs unfolding like insect legs, and a squad of synthetic enforcers dropped through the gap, sleek, fast, and inhumanly silent. Their helmets reflected nothing, their rifles already aimed. Jimin didn't reach for his gun. "Stand down," he barked. "Level 6 clearance, code Obsidian Red." The bots froze, processing. Jungkook stared. "What the hell is Obsidian Red?" "It's the last access level," Jimin replied. "The one even command pretends doesn't exist." The lead enforcer tilted its head, then shockingly holstered its weapon. The others followed. "Confirmed," it said in a voice like static. "They recognize you," Jungkook whispered, bitter. "Even the machines know who you are." "No one outruns what they are," Jimin said, and motioned toward the maintenance shaft. "We're going underground. That's where the original archive is. That's where the truth ends." Jungkook followed, but not before he shot the data feed from earlier, shattering his younger self into fractured pixels. The descent into the archive levels was narrow, cold. Water leaked from pipes like veins bleeding memory. The deeper they went, the quieter it got. No alarms, no voices, just the hum of machines waiting to wake up. Jimin pressed his hand to a scanner, and the wall split like a wound. The room they entered wasn't large, but it felt infinite. Shelves of drives. Cryotanks labeled with codes Jungkook recognized from his old team. Some had been marked terminated. Others were still lit, quietly pulsing. Are those subjects like you, Jimin confirmed. Versions that didn't make it or didn't obey. Jungkook staggered to a terminal. His fingers hovered over a name when he hadn't said aloud in years. Taehyung. His older brother, dead in a rebel bombing they'd told him, just collateral. But his name wasn't marked deceased. It was marked activated. Jungkook slammed his fist into the terminal. He's alive. Jimin hesitated. Yes. Jungkook spun. And you didn't tell me. Because he's not who you remember. They broke him. Reprogrammed him. He's not your brother anymore, Jungkook. He's your next mission. Jungkook's scream was pure guttural rage. He lunged again, but this time Jimin caught him, held him not to fight but to stop him from breaking himself. The embrace wasn't gentle. It was desperate, trembling, two fractured pieces trying to hold one another together. I'm sorry, Jimin whispered, forehead against Jungkook's. I didn't know how to tell you without destroying what was left of you. Tears came then, silent and violent. Jungkook let them fall, not out of weakness, but because the truth had finally cracked through the last layer of programming. Then let's finish this, he said, voice shaking but clear. Jimin nodded. Together. The ring between them pulsed, warm against Jungkook's chest. No longer just a symbol of loyalty, but a fuse, lit and ready. Because the past had finally been excavated. And hell was waiting above. Tell me what they did to him, Jungkook said through clenched teeth, eyes fixed on the name still glowing on the terminal. Taehyung, his brother, the myth, the phantom, the boy who used to sneak him candy after drills and whisper that one day they'd both escape. The name stared back at him like a betrayal. Jimin didn't answer at first. His hand hovered over a sequence on the terminal, hesitating, calculating. You don't want to see it. I asked, not begged. Jimin exhaled slowly. They didn't kill your brother, Jungkook. They harvested him. That word made Jungkook's body still. Harvested. They stripped his identity, rewrote his instincts, layered him with protocols designed to overwrite memories. Every time he disobeyed, they rebooted his mind. Piece by piece, they turned your brother into their most obedient ghost. Jungkook's voice dropped. You watch them do it. I tried to stop them. Jimin's tone was raw now, the walls in his voice finally crumbling. But I wasn't high enough to interfere then. I was still playing spy, still pretending I could walk the line without falling into either pit. And when they showed me what they'd done to him, I understood. There is no line. There never was. Jungkook's fists trembled at his sides. And now? He's their sword, Jimin said, and they've just unsheathed him. From somewhere above, a low vibration began, a tremor like distant thunder except deeper. It wasn't seismic, it was systemic. Jungkook turned sharply. He's here. Jimin didn't nod, didn't need to. The look in his eyes said it all. The hunt had begun. They ran. Up the corridors slick with condensation and oil, through decompression chambers that reeked of ozone and old blood, into a hangar bay long since abandoned. Lights flickered overhead, stuttering like a dying pulse. Crates of outdated weapons lay shattered on the floor, signs of a past conflict that had never truly ended. A door slammed shut behind them. And there he was. Taehyung. Alive, breathing, wearing the uniform of the directive, no insignia, no emotion. Jungkook stepped forward, breath stolen from his lungs. Taehyung. Taehyung's head tilted ever so slightly. Not recognition, just curiosity. He spoke in a voice that wasn't his, metallic, polished, detached. Subject 97B, you've deviated from primary function. Jimin reached for his weapon. No, Jungkook hissed, grabbing his arm. Let me try. He stepped closer. Every muscle screamed in protest. Every instinct told him to run or fight, but he didn't. I know you remember me, he said. Our old house. That dumb rooftop you snuck me onto when I had nightmares. The alley we used to race in, even though I always cheated and you always let me win. Taehyung blinked slowly. Emotional manipulation detected. Invalid input. Jungkook's voice cracked. You told me once that we were more than what they made us. You said we'd get out. Don't tell me that was a lie. Taehyung's hand moved to his hip. Too fast, too clean. A blade hissed into his palm. Target failure to comply, he said. Lethal action approved. Jimin raised his gun in one clean motion. You move, he dies. Then you'll have to shoot your partner too, Taehyung replied, and in a blur of motion, he was gone, vanished into shadow like smoke. Chaos erupted. Jungkook barely had time to react as Taehyung struck from the right, a whirlwind of blade and precision. He deflected, stumbled, dodged. Jimin fired, but Taehyung moved like a ghost, untouched by bullets or time. Stop, Jungkook roared, shoving Jimin aside. Don't shoot him, he's still in there. He's trying to kill you. I don't care. The battle became a blur, steel against steel, fists against flesh, blood and breath colliding in a storm of desperation. Jungkook fought like a man possessed, not to win but to wake something. Every strike he blocked, every blow he took, he screamed his brother's name, not as a plea but as a challenge. And then something cracked. A flicker in Taehyung's expression, a microsecond. Jungkook hesitated. Taehyung. Taehyung faltered, just a blink of hesitation. That was all it took. Jimin lunged and plunged a stunner into Taehyung's back. The older brother jerked once, violently, then collapsed, convulsing. No, Jungkook screamed, grabbing Jimin by the collar and slamming him against the wall. You said not to kill him. He's not dead, Jimin growled, but I wasn't going to wait for him to gut you. Jungkook dropped him, breath ragged. They stared at Taehyung's unmoving body. Jungkook knelt beside him, brushing hair from his forehead. Beneath the blank surface, something stirred. Did you see it? Jungkook asked. His eyes, he remembered something. Jimin didn't answer. Outside, another siren wailed. Reinforcements were coming. Jimin opened a compartment in the wall, revealing a narrow crawl shaft. We need to leave, now. Jungkook looked down at his brother, unconscious. We're not leaving him. Jimin didn't argue. Together, they lifted Taehyung's body, dragging him into the shaft as systems collapsed, and war came storming back. No one spoke as they fled. But in the silence, something fragile passed between them. Not forgiveness. Not hope. But the faint, flickering belief that maybe, just maybe, monsters could remember who they were before they were broken. You drugged me, Taehyung muttered hoarsely, blinking against the haze of sedation, the restraints around his wrists sparking faintly every few seconds. His voice had texture now, gravel scraped against memory, not the clean, soulless cadence the directive had programmed into him. That was low, even for you, Jimin. Jimin didn't respond immediately. He stood in the corner of the narrow cell carved out beneath the maintenance tunnels, arms crossed, jaw tight. The lights flickered overhead, casting the three of them in rotating gold and shadow. The silence between them had stretched for 20 minutes before Taehyung spoke, and still Jimin said nothing. Jungkook stepped forward, crouching beside the cot. We didn't drug you, we stunned you, and we saved your life. Taehyung turned his head slowly. From what, myself, or the orders you thought I'd follow? From asterisk them, Jungkook said. From what they turned you into. Taehyung studied him. You look older. So do you, Jungkook whispered. A long pause, then Taehyung gave a dry, cruel smile. I don't remember you. The sentence hit harder than any strike. Jungkook flinched like he'd been punched. Jimin shifted his weight. You hesitated, Jungkook said quietly. Back in the hangar, you remembered something, don't lie. I hesitated, Taehyung repeated, voice flat, because your technique was sloppy and you left an opening. Bullshit. Jimin finally spoke. You don't have to fake it. We're not the directive. You don't have to perform anymore. Taehyung looked at him now, cold and calculating. That's rich coming from the man who's been performing the longest. Jimin's expression didn't change, but the shift in air between them was palpable. The energy turned brittle, explosive. The kind of tension born not just of danger, but history. Jungkook looked between them. You knew each other. Of course we did, Taehyung said, chuckling darkly. Jimin was the one who helped push my first override. He's the one who taught me how to shut it all off. Stop it, Jimin said lowly. Why? Taehyung pressed. Don't like hearing your protege learn the truth. Jungkook stood. What is he talking about? Jimin closed his eyes. I worked in conditioning before I defected. You trained him. I trained all of you. The words were a knife, and Jungkook felt the cut from the inside out. His mouth parted, breath catching, eyes searching for denial in Jimin's face that never came. You said you were trying to protect me, Jungkook whispered. I was, Jimin said, but before that I was helping build you. Taehyung laughed bitterly. He used to give me simulations where I killed you, just to see if the triggers worked. You always cried in the first versions. Eventually, they made you fight back. That's when I started enjoying it. Shut up, Jimin snapped, taking a step forward. Taehyung leaned into the pain. Oh, now you care. That's adorable. Enough, Jungkook yelled, both of you. He backed away from the cot, face pale, mind burning with images he couldn't distinguish anymore. Dreams, memories, manipulations. So what now? You just expect me to believe you're both victims. Taehyung smirked. There are no victims here, brother, just survivors, and people too weak to stay alive. I won't leave you like this, Jungkook said. You can hate me, you can hate him, but I'm getting your memories back, all of them. Taehyung's smile turned cruel. And when you do, when you see who I really am now, will you still believe I'm worth saving? Jungkook didn't answer. He walked out of the cell. Jimin followed, his voice low when they were alone. There's something else you need to know. Now, Jungkook asked, you think now is a good time? I know the lab that can reverse the conditioning. It's off-grid, buried under the ocean. But getting there, it means exposing ourselves. And if they find us, we won't survive. I'm not leaving him like this, Jungkook said. I didn't say we shouldn't go, Jimin replied. I said be ready to lose everything. Jungkook looked back toward the cell. I already have. The next 48 hours were motion. They stole a skimmer from the lower docks. Taehyung, bound and sedated again, was sealed in cryo to prevent him from triggering embedded kill commands. The sea above them glowed with unnatural light as they plunged beneath the storm barriers and into forgotten depths. Jungkook sat beside the cryo chamber in silence. Every now and then, he'd press his palm to the glass just to feel the vibration of Taehyung's pulse. Not because it proved he was alive, but because it reminded him that the machine hadn't won. Not completely. Jimin joined him once, offering rations. Jungkook refused. I need you to know, Jimin said. I was never supposed to get close to you. They planted me as insurance in case you ever rebelled. But then I watched you hesitate before every kill. I watched you flinch every time you had to lie. And I realized you were the only human left among us. Jungkook didn't speak, just kept his hand on the glass. Jimin leaned in. I gave you the ring because it was the only thing I had left that still meant something. Not as a handler, not as a weapon, but as a man who wanted something to be real again. Jungkook turned, eyes rimmed with fire. You gave me the ring to remind me who I was, but you forgot to tell me you helped take that away in the first place. I'm trying to give it back. The ship trembled as it docked. A soft chime indicated proximity to the ocean lab. As they prepared to move, Taehyung stirred inside the chamber, his eyes snapping open. And he was smiling. The kill protocol had already begun. You need to freeze him again, now, Jimin shouted, already reaching for the override panel on the cryo chamber. He's awake, Jungkook murmured, eyes locked with his brother, from behind the reinforced glass. He's looking at me. No, Jimin snapped, punching in a sequence with shaking fingers. He's not asterisk looking at you. He's scanning for weaknesses. Inside the chamber, Taehyung didn't blink. His lips barely moved, but they moved, forming a single word over and over. Jungkook's heart dropped. He's saying my name. He's asterisk programming you asterisk, Jungkook, Jimin barked. He knows the old keywords. You weren't purged completely. He could trigger something. Stop, Jungkook growled, stepping between Jimin and the console. Don't shut him down again. He's not trying to hurt me. The chamber lights flickered. Systems across the skimmer began to tremble. Low, unnatural static echoed through the comms. Then a shrill beep tore through the silence. The override panel locked. What did you do? Jimin demanded. I didn't touch anything, Jungkook said. From inside the chamber, Taehyung exhaled a long, deliberate breath, and then the glass hissed. It began to open. Jimin pulled his weapon. Don't make me do this. Jungkook turned on him. Put it down. He's compromised. So am I, Jungkook snapped. But you didn't put a bullet in me. Taehyung stepped out. The frost steamed off his skin. His feet were bare and his eyes glowed faintly, directive neural enhancement. But his movements were not machine-precise. They were uncertain, weighted, human. Jimin hesitated, then slowly lowered the gun. Jungkook, Taehyung said softly, is it really you? Jungkook didn't breathe, couldn't. You remember me. Taehyung nodded slowly, as if the gesture required effort. Not all of it, just flashes, your voice, the way you looked at me when they told you I died, the guilt. Jimin remained stone still, one hand twitching near the trigger again. How much of you is still you? Jungkook asked. I don't know, Taehyung said, his voice trembling. I can't always tell when I'm speaking or when I'm just executing code. Jungkook stepped closer. You said my name. You hesitated in the hangar. Something in you still knows me. That's what makes it worse, Taehyung said, voice breaking. Every time I remember, it hurts, like it's not supposed to be there, like my mind rejects it. Jimin finally spoke, his voice sharp. We're almost at the facility. If he's waking up this fast, the kill command won't be far behind. Jungkook shook his head. There's got to be a way to isolate the trigger. There isn't, Jimin said. Believe me, I've tried. Once it activates fully, he won't recognize you as his brother. You'll just be a target, one more variable to eliminate. Taehyung's voice was eerily calm. He's not wrong. Jungkook stared at him, helpless. Then why aren't you killing us now? Taehyung's answer came like an explosion. Because I'm tired of being their weapon. He collapsed to his knees, gasping. They put a firewall around my memories. Every time I fight it, it burns. But when I saw you, really saw you, I felt something break. I don't want to go back to being their ghost. Jimin crouched beside him, scanner in hand. His vitals are unstable. Neural feedback loop is accelerating. His brain is fighting itself. We don't have long. Jungkook clenched his fists. Then let's move. We get to the facility, we purge the code. End of story. You still believe in stories? Jimin asked bitterly. Jungkook's glare was a firestorm. I have to. The ocean lab loomed beneath layers of coral and pressure seals. The dock groaned as their skimmer latched onto the bay. The facility was old, older than either of them expected. Power ran on backups. Walls wept with salt and time. The smell of metal and decay filled their lungs as they stepped inside, carrying Taehyung between them. This place is supposed to be abandoned, Jimin said. Then why are the lights on? Jungkook muttered. Motion sensors flickered to life as they passed. Deep inside the lab's core was a chamber labeled simply, Echo Retrieval Suite. Taehyung shivered the moment they stepped inside. I remember this room, he whispered. They wiped me here. Jimin moved fast, fingers dancing across dusty terminals, bypassing corrupted AI safeguards. If I can isolate his neural map, I might be able to restore the original schema, but if I hit the wrong node. He dies, Jungkook finished. Or worse, Jimin said. He becomes what they built him to be, permanently. Jungkook turned to his brother. Do you trust me? Taehyung's eyes flicked between them, strained and afraid. I don't know how to trust anymore. Jungkook reached into his vest and pulled the ring from its chain. He held it out. This isn't just a promise anymore. It's an anchor. If you lose yourself again, hold on to this. Not because I gave it to you, but because he did. The version of you that wanted to be free. Taehyung stared at the ring, hand trembling. He took it. Do it, he whispered. Jimin hit the command. Screams. Taehyung convulsed violently, body arching off the table, every nerve set ablaze. Jungkook held him down, shouting his name. Memories flashed across the monitors, images, code strings, emotion markers. Whole lifetimes stitched back together in milliseconds. Then stillness. Taehyung stopped moving. The lights dimmed. A soft alarm beeped twice and died. Jimin checked the vitals. Stable. Jungkook leaned in. Hyung. Taehyung opened his eyes. And cried. Not code tears, not simulated grief. Real. Messy. Broken. I remember everything, he choked out. What they did to you, what they made me do. Jungkook swallowed the lump in his throat. Then we burned them together. From behind them, the facility lights flared violently. And an old voice, one they hadn't heard in years, echoed through the comms. Well, well, came the chilling sound of General Kwon, their former commander. The prodigal son's return, and here I thought I'd buried all my mistakes. Jimin froze. Jungkook stood. Taehyung rose slowly, still gripping the ring. Jungkook's voice was ice. This isn't your lab anymore. Correction, Kwon replied. It never was, it was yours, you just didn't know it yet. And then the lockdown began. The facility groaned as the lockdown sealed every exit with metallic finality. Red sirens flashed across corroded walls, painting the brothers and Jimin in pulses of dread. Beyond the reinforced glass, automated turrets whirred to life, targeting systems humming with precision. They were trapped. Override the lockout, Jungkook ordered, voice sharp. Jimin didn't move. I can't. He's running the facility remotely. He must have hijacked the systems the second we accessed Taehyung's neural map. Taehyung's knuckles whitened around the ring. He knew we'd come here. He set this up years ago. Kwon's voice filtered through again, low and venomous. Of course I did. I knew it the moment Subject 97B started trembling over a damn ring. Do you know how many hours we spent eliminating sentimentality from your codebase? Guess we missed a piece. You didn't miss anything, Jungkook growled. You underestimated it. You think this is about freedom? Kwon snapped. You three are not rebels, you're asterisk data sets, failed prototypes. Look at yourself, Taehyung, look at what you became. All that blood on your hands, and now what? You want forgiveness. Taehyung took a step toward the comm panel. No, he said. I want justice asterisk. He drove his fist into the emergency override node, shattering the glass and activating the manual fail-safe. The lights shut off. In total blackout, the facility pulsed with only one sound, the unlocking of doors. Jimin's voice was urgent. That gave us maybe 5 minutes before he reroutes control. We move now. They ran. Down winding corridors filled with shadows of the past, broken memory tanks, ghosts of old trials, footsteps echoing against steel like a war drum. Outside, the pressure alarms wailed, the ocean wanted in. They reached the central core. One final door stood between them and escape. It was sealed with biometric encryption. Jimin stepped forward, placed his palm on the pad. It'll only open for an original handler. You were asterisk a handler, Jungkook said. No, Jimin whispered. I am asterisk. That's what he'll always see me as. The door blinked green. Slowly, painfully, it began to open. Gunfire roared from the far hallway. Kwon had arrived. Flanked by a team of clean-suited enforcers, face projected across every monitor like a god looming over creation. His voice boomed. Step away, Jimin. You belong to me. No, Jimin said, turning around. I belong to them. He threw his weapon to the ground and walked toward the enforcers, hands raised. Jimin, Jungkook called out. But Jimin only looked back once, and in that second his eyes said everything. Run. As the enforcers moved to detain him, Jimin struck his chest, a detonation charge flaring beneath his skin. The explosion wasn't massive, but it was enough. The corridor caved in. Jungkook screamed his name as the blast echoed through the lab. Taehyung pulled him through the open door, both of them staggering into the emergency pod bay. Jungkook tried to turn back, but Taehyung gripped his arm. He made his choice, don't dishonor it. They climbed into the launch pod. Lights flickered, systems engaged. Kwon's voice, furious now, bled through the static. You think this ends with you escaping? I own every satellite, every ship. You'll be hunted until there's nothing left of you. Jungkook stared straight into the camera. Then you better send everything asterisk. He slammed the launch button. The pod exploded out of the facility like a bullet from a burning chamber. Water crushed in behind them, collapsing the lab into the sea. A lifetime of lies drowned beneath pressure and silence. Above, the surface broke. Stars opened overhead. And for the first time in years, the air felt clean. Jungkook leaned back in the seat, blood dried on his temple, hands trembling. Taehyung sat beside him, still gripping the ring. After a long time, he whispered, "He died for us." Jungkook nodded, "So we could live." Taehyung looked at him. "Now what?" Jungkook's eyes found the stars again. "Now we burn it all down." And together, two brothers, rebuilt from betrayal, stitched by sacrifice, vanished into the dark. Free. At last,